And the former director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe. Very good to have you here, sir. Thank you for being here.
You bet, Martha.
So you were listening in on this Pentagon briefing as well. There were reports earlier that this drone came in contact with Russian fighter jets, Su-27s, over the Black Sea, as I said, and that at one point the Russian fighter jets poured fuel onto the drone and then went right at it. And then the United States military decided they had to take it down and get it out of there. It could be up to $32 million, this drone. How serious is this?
Well, I think it's anytime there's Russian aggression, it's serious. We've seen, Russian pilots and Chinese pilots being increasingly more aggressive against U.S. Aircraft. And, I think what's important here is, is there going to be a proportionate response after there's an appropriate, investigation and debriefing into this issue? In other words, will Russia be held accountable for its aggression? Very clearly, by the accounts here, the word harassment was used by one Pentagon official to describe this. So, aggressive behavior will continue, Martha, if it is not deterred. And so, it is up to the Pentagon, to the Biden administration, in this case and in other cases, to reflect that there will be consequences to aggressive behavior. And so, that's the part that remains to be seen here.
Yeah, and as you point out, there have been increasing incidents of building aggression and building harassment. And as you point out, that's an interesting word that's being used here. Do you expect that there will be a commensurate response from the United States, from the president, and from the Pentagon?
I'd like to say yes, but the past 2 years hasn't really shown that aggression has been countered with an appropriate response, and we've continued to see that even in the what you mentioned, Martha, in terms of China's recent behavior and what President Xi has done. So it was last week that China was threatening the U.S., saying the U.S. needs to back down or there will be conflict or confrontation, after China's the one through COVID that has had a virus that's killed Americans, through fentanyl that has killed Americans, through spycraft that has spied on Americans, through intellectual property that has stolen from Americans. And the Biden administration response in the last few days has been, we'd love to re-engage with China,
right.
Essentially backing down. And so, I'm not optimistic that in the remainder of President Biden's administration that he's going to step up to the increasing aggression that China and Russia are both showing very clearly on the world stage.
It feels like we are getting pushed to the back of the burners here in a number of places. We've seen it happen in the Middle East with this deal that was just brokered by President Xi to bring Saudi Arabia and Iran back to the table diplomatically. That's a big development. It minimizes Israel's role and our role in the Middle East, clearly. And now you have what looks like it could be President Xi trying to insert himself in a potential negotiation between Ukraine and Russia. What does that do to our role, having, put so much on the line in this fight already?
Well, let's just start with the good news. The good news is, peace through any means in Ukraine would be a good thing. Right. But that would come at a cost. I mean, it's ironic that that President Xi in China would be the peacemaker, since they're the ones that have funded Russia's aggression for the past year. But it would come at a cost to the Biden administration. That peace would come at a cost because, as you pointed out, President Xi has just had success in the Middle East. Normalizing relations between the Saudis and the Iranians. And now if he does so here, what that would reflect in China to the rest of the world is that Xi's model of a rising China, economic and military superiority is having an impact where the Biden model of international relations, has not led to a breakthrough of peace in Ukraine. So, again, peace would come at a cost to U.S. prestige around the world and U.S. influence going forward, and it would be a good development for China.
Former Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe. Always good to have you with us, sir. Thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.